Oh, hi. I didn't notice you there. Sorry. That was a joke. Probably could have ironed out something more spectacular here. But this episode today is a special occasion. Welcome to the Automate IT podcast, where I get to come here once a month and ramble about topics that I think are important. And this month's topic is something I've wanted to talk about for a while now. This is a special occasion for two reasons. So the first reason is that this is my first episode releasing while I have a baby in the house. So please be a little patient with me. I'm exhausted, but I'm also happy and fulfilled. And I'm running off of coffee and Linux at the moment. In some Linux news, I got SteamOS running at home, and that's been awesome. But I digress. But speaking of being exhausted, but also fulfilled, July is System Administrator Appreciation Month. Uh, this is the time for us to really show love and support for all of our systems administrators, IT administrators. I'm looping in help desk operations as well. This is a job that can sometimes require you to learn massive amounts of information in as little as an hour. It's also a job that can require you to be woken up at odd hours of the night because someone made a massive whoopsie, a la similar to being a parent. But again, I digress. A little moment of truth. I was not a sysadmin at any point in my career. However, I have worked in different positions in which I had to learn system administration type tasks, mostly related to Linux servers, as I think I've talked about in previous months. But throughout my career, I've worked closely with system administrators. I'm sure working in IT, many of us related to that field or related to that role, or have had to interact with them very closely in our current positions. Not to mention, I've befriended sysadmins over the years or worked alongside people who grew their career into a sysadmin path. Being a good sysadmin not only requires you to have good problem solving skills, it also requires your ability to learn from your peers, to be able to learn and to communicate efficiently. For a considerable number of years, I've worked on a team where the troubleshooting skills were very much required. The troubleshooting skills that you required to be within those roles were very much leaned upon the knowledge of a sysadmin. This is why I say I know so many people that grew into the role. At one point in my career, or for a considerable amount of my career, I was on a support team that was related to the web hosting industry, mostly for Linux web hosting servers. But the knowledge and the skill set that we had to use there was very much related to system administration tasks. I would never call myself a sysadmin, but I did get a small look into the problem solving mindset that one would need to have. I think that we could easily talk about the technical aspects of being a sysadmin, but that's not the type of person that I am at the moment. That's not the type of person that wants to focus on technical tasks. I believe that there's so much to gain from that, but I'm more so the type of person who would rather speak about what an immense mental workload can do if you're not able to find the balance. When I was younger, there was a yearning to never stop learning. There was a desire to throw myself at a problem until it was solved and documented. And while this helped advance my career and my technical mindset, none of this did anything to improve my life or happiness outside of my career. I guess you could make the argument that more knowledge means better jobs, but what I'm mostly referring to is the exhaustion and the stress that I never got a chance to properly release from myself. For Sysadmin Appreciation Month, there are a few things that I wanted to say. So firstly, thank you to any sysadmins or IT administrators who have had to sacrifice time or peace to ensure that our workplaces were operating smoothly. If you've ever wondered, are my sysadmins acting with a good sense of urgency? I promise you that they are. If your company's email service is down, or you can't sign into a certain platform that your job relies on, trust me, they're probably moving faster than you can imagine. Sysadmins are very much the unsung heroes of a lot of our organizations, and they definitely deserve our thanks. So, with that being said, thank you guys for all that you do. Rolling back updates that took down a system or a service. Definitely guilty of that one. Keeping us patched against vulnerable software that we didn't even know about. Or my favorite part, just nailing the automation in the back end of our endpoints or our servers So that way you don't even know if certain things are being downloaded or installed or secured in the background. Our devices and our services are just always in a ready to go state, thanks to the workflows that they've implemented without ever even having to bother anyone else. One thing I wanted to mention was, if you're familiar with Spiceworks, they have a cool little diagram called "Should You Buy Your Sysadmin a Beer?" And obviously, I don't want to exclude anyone that doesn't consume alcohol, so maybe we can replace beer with something else like cheesecake. But my point stays the same. Check out this flowchart from Spiceworks and see if it applies to your sysadmin. I think they'd really appreciate it. And the second thing I wanted to mention, something that I've experienced firsthand, is that if you're the type of person who struggles with what to say when they get frustrated, be mindful to prepare your words before confronting your sysadmin team. These people are your teammates. I've been CC'd on emails, or I've even heard people talk verbally using words that might berate or belittle or work done by sysadmins or IT admins. And even if this was not intentional, you're just hurting yourself or you're hurting your team. If anyone has been able to make it this far into my ramble, I wanted to leave on a note about mental health. I think that when people think of IT, they may not think of it as being an extremely stressful field. I can understand where some people's opinions can come from. However, I wanted to mention that just like any other job, a constant workload in a fast-paced environment can wear you down and burn your mental fuel pretty quickly. If you're having a day or a week or a month where you feel burnt out from your workload, do your best to connect with your peers or teammates. If the workload is too much, perhaps there is room for automation or a situation where some collaborative efforts need to be made. Also, consider taking time away to really disconnect. And this doesn't necessarily mean going away to a private island for a certain amount of time or running away to Disneyland for a week, which is what I did one time. Obviously, I enjoyed these things. But I found out that better time management for myself didn't come from a larger plan. It even came from making sure that when it came time to eat dinner, I was sitting down with the people that I needed to sit down with. I took a moment to myself to get coffee, send a text message to my mother, to my wife. Disconnection doesn't always mean running away. It means just for yourself, being able to log back into the core part of yourself. I must admit, I used to be one of those people who could never stop thinking about work. And it was actually really hard to break that habit. But once I could, I was extremely glad that I did. Reach out to your IT admins, sysadmins, and everyone alike. And if you're anyone that currently sits in those seats, thank you very much for holding down the fort for us. I know this one wasn't too technical, but it's one that I was really proud of and one that I was really happy to come and sit down with y'all with today. Today is July 1st. We're halfway into the year, 2025. I hope that things are going as well for you as they possibly can. And especially this month, especially this year, please remember to be kind to yourself at work and at home. And I'll speak to y'all again soon. Thank y'all.